Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are director Ron OJ Parsons and actress Laurie O'Brien. Ron OJ Parsons is a native of Buffalo, New York. Graduated from the University of Michigan's theater program and has worked as a director and actor. He's worked at theaters all over Chicago, including my favorites, the Steppenwolf and the Goodwin. He's worked in Canada and on the U.S. stages in Portland, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Louisville. And how did that path for you change from acting to directing?
Well, it's funny. I was in New York, pounding the pavement as an actor, and I lived out here for a couple of years as well. But I felt when I got to Chicago, I wanted to start my own company. So there's over 250 companies in Chicago. So I figured, I need to do something unique. And when it happened, I ended up having to do the directing as well as the acting.
Oh.
So it kind of evolved from that as I got to direct more and more. Though it started picking up and the career picked up.
Did you act in New York?
Yeah, I did. I did a lot of stuff way back in the...
On Off-Broadway, Broadway?
Off-Broadway mostly. I didn't get to Broadway until I was with Steppenwolf, and we did...
What'd you do?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, and it was your production?
No, I was Gary Sinise was the star.
Yeah.
Terry Kinney directed it, and I was just a young actor.
Oh, you were?
Kind of young. I wasn't that young. But
That's great.
Younger than I am now.
But you founded the Onyx Theater. Is that what you were talking about?
Onyx
the ensemble?
Onyx Theater Ensemble. We started that. And we were able to do some good things. We didn't have a lot of money, but we were able to do some things and make some progress with the acting community in Chicago.
How did you start it? Did you have actors to start it? You must have, because you had to direct.
Well, it's kind of a long story. We had a group of actors that wanted to act, basically. And one of my best friends was the marketing director at the Goodman Theater. And so that was a good connection. And so we were able to get a lot of actors together who wanted to, a small company to be able to do what they want. At one time it was hard because we were all equity members, but the small company was non-equity. So we had to usually hire out and eventually develop a contract that we could work.
Did you have a theater? Where did you meet?
Yeah, we had a theater.
You
It was,
had a theater?
It was in an old church.
Oh, great.
Actually, the church was still being used as a church.
Oh, so that's great.
They had a room. They had a room in downstairs. There's a lot of Chicago buildings that are old churches. And
but isn't that what that whole thing is? Creativity, doing something, using something that's already there.
Yeah, you know what I call it? I call it guerrilla theater. Guerilla, not the animal.
Is that still vital? The Onyx Theater?
Oh, no, Onyx is gone.
Oh, it's gone.
That lasted about 5 years, and then it kind of folded because a lot of our members were going off in their own careers. Lydia Diamond, who was a founding member with us, she just had a play on Broadway, so she wrote Stick Fly, which
oh,
was
yes,
on
I
Broadway.
did.
Yeah, she was with us as an actor. And she was a writer too, but she was acting still.
So would you say that was 20 years ago?
We started it in '94, but in '98 we folded.
You were like really nurturing actors
Actors,
at the time.
directors, writers, all
And now you're an artist in residence at the Court Theater?
Court Theater in Hyde Park in Chicago, if anybody out there knows Chicago.
We do. What do you do as an artist in residence?
Well, I direct maybe 1 or 2 plays on the season. I'm also involved in nurturing talent and bringing diversity to the theater.
Oh.
So we'll do some non-traditional casting of plays. Next season we're doing 2 Moliere plays in Rep. We're doing Tartuffe and The Misanthrope with a non-traditional
both
cast.
easy plays. I mean, both interesting.
Exactly.
Like you can mix the...
Exactly.
But when you were with the Onyx Theater, was it all a black theater?
No, actually, no. We did really all kinds of plays, but we did them in a non-traditional sense.
Still non-traditional,
yeah.
I see. Pasadena is getting Jitney. You directed Jitney.
Right.
You directed it first at the South Coast Rep.
Yeah.
Isn't this the same cast?
It's the same cast. It's the same production. It's just a few little adjustments because the stage is a little different.
I was going to ask about that.
What else? A little different. That one is a little bigger, so we had to kind of compress it a little bit, which actually adds to the reality of jitney stations in Pittsburgh because they're very small, about the size of a studio. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering. We don't know the word jitney. I guess it's a taxi.
Yeah, jitney stations is funny because in a lot of communities, not only Pittsburgh, but where I'm from in Buffalo, Chicago, Detroit, there's areas in the city where the licensed taxi cab drivers won't go. You know?
So they don't go.
They won't go because they're usually maybe high crime or African American or Latino or gang gang related.
I see.
So they don't go there. So usually it's done by the people in the neighborhood, which usually they call that a jitney.
But it's okay with the licensed taxis then. It's not like a renegade.
It's really not. It is technically not legal.
Right, but it's not a renegade. They're not like.
Yeah, it's a service that they're providing.
Yeah, it's a service.
In fact, in the play, it's called car service. That's what they are. It's a needed function.
And it's written by August Wilson.
Right.
And tell us about August Wilson.
Well, August Wilson to me is the most profound and prolific. He's passed away now. Playwright. In my lifetime, and he wrote a cycle. He calls it the Pittsburgh cycle of African American culture. 10 plays, 10 decades to study the culture of African American.
And he was writing the last one as he passed, wasn't he?
Radio Golf, right?
That's so good.
Yeah.
And it took. So it was how many years?
Well, he started writing in late 70s, mid 70s.
He's writing 10 years, more than 20.
Actually, when he first wrote Jitney, he wasn't writing it as, okay, it's going to be one of the cycle. It was his first play. He wrote it. It was a one act, and he put it away. And then he got to Ma Rainey and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which was his first big success. And after that, he kind of decided, well, I got something here. I think, let me pull Jitney out. And
that's what happened?
Yeah, it came later, much later.
It was, to me, anthropological, folklore. I mean, I think he captures something that is going to be lost.
No doubt about it. For me, it's very spiritual kind of awakening for a lot of people, for the actors, for the director.
Oh, for the actors, too?
Oh, yeah, for the actors, for the audience, for everybody. I the first time I worked on one, I met him back in the early 80s.
Oh, you did?
And I was working with a playwright named Oyamo, who's another profound playwright who's out, teaches at University of Michigan, where I went to school. But he was writing then, he had this desire and this fire to be a playwright. He was a poet. And so that's why you can hear the poetry and the lyricism in the music in his language, But he just started writing, and it's just so weird that he finishes the 10th one and passes away.
I know. It was shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was his desire. He must have just stayed alive to finish that.
I think so. I think he fought. His will to live was strong.
Yeah. When you talked about the music or the way the poetry of what he does, do certain actors specialize in Wilson plays?
Yeah, in fact, my experience with August goes pretty far back. But when I worked on Jitney in the original, not the very first production of it, but when it got going around and it came to the Goodman, and I got the opportunity to understudy 3 roles, 3 actors that I idolized: Stephen Henderson, Anthony Chisholm, and I was able to kind of work under Marion McClinton, who was the director at the time, and August was there, and I was just an understudy. Yeah, he was there. He was writing it. Actually.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, and so I was able to kind of be around that version of it, and I must say that has helped me with this production.
But did he cast? Did he have people that he saw in
he
different roles?
What I call them the Wilsonites.
That's what I'm wondering.
Paul Butler, Anthony Chisholm, Stephen Henderson, Russell Hornsby was in that early rendition. He's on Grimm now, the TV show. And so there was a stock group of guys that did a lot of the productions at that time.
And you cast the South Coast Rep edition of Jitney, and you used Charlie Robinson.
Charlie Robinson.
Has he done work?
Oh yeah,
August Wilson?
He's done a lot of August. And it's funny, you will find, I did find a few of the actors in the play who hadn't done August. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you cast them anyway?
Yeah.
but what did they learn?
Well, because, you know, my style of directing was a very open kind of style, I was able to, you know, get across what I was trying to get across to them, and they're all fine actors. They just hadn't had the opportunity to do this language and this music and this rhythm. And, you know, and in the beginning we started talking about how in Shakespeare you have to develop a rhythm and a pattern, and it's the same in August's plays. There's a rhythm that you can hear, the music. August used to sit in the back of the theater and not watch. I mean, he was a smoker back then. He smoked a lot, but he would just listen to the music and to the
cadence of the words, because he wrote them to have a certain...
Exactly. So I find that when I try to do August plays, I try to find that rhythm and try to hear his voice, his voice in the language.
If somebody's like that and somebody has never heard it before and you're giving them a chance, would you get up and say the words? Would you get up and say, this is how?
Well, you know, my style of directing is not like that. I like an actor to find it themselves, and when they do that, it means more to them. I mean, you can tell an actor what to do, but they don't really know why they're doing it. They're imitating what you did.
And they do it very well because they're actors, right?
They can do it very well, but it's not coming from the heart and soul of the character. So when they find it themselves, it's a lot of times when an actor says, you know, well, what's going on here? And I say, well, you tell me. You know, what do you discover? What do you find in that role, in that character, in that moment, versus me telling you? And that makes it more real and more positive for them.
Let's talk about your directing. Say from South Coast or the Goodman or wherever Jitney was, wherever you've directed it before, taking it to the Pasadena Playhouse.
Right.
Do you try to make it different?
Well, you know, it's funny. This is the fourth time I've been associated with the play. I was an actor the first time. But each time is a new, fresh approach, a new...
That's what I wondered.
Yeah, a new feeling. Now this one, because it just closed at South Coast and it's moving here, there won't be a lot of change. It'll be mostly adjustments for the stage. But the cast, they had a nice rhythm going when I left. I left just after it opened, so I'm hoping it's the same play.
But like, if you took it somewhere else, would you keep it the same way, or would you? I mean, how do you change a play?
Well, let me say this. When I go back to Chicago, I'm at Court Theater. I'm directing Jitney as the first show.
Oh, you are?
Season.
Okay, then how do you?
So
change
it'll be all Chicago people. For one thing, it'll be all Chicago people and people that I know who know me a long time, and it will be different actors.
Yeah, so that's different, right?
That's different. Different set, different actors, different lights.
That's what I wondered. So the set's different too?
The set will be different. It's a different designer, you know, different sound, different things. Although the sound is so great in this production, I'm hoping to keep a lot of it. But for the most part, because you got new actors who have new rhythms and new physicalities that they want to bring to it. The fight choreography might be adjusted because of the set. The set might be a little different.
So that's how you change it.
Yeah, it has to change, and that's the thing about August's writing, is that every time you go into it, it's like the first time. That's how I feel. You know, this is the 19th August Wilson production that I've worked on. I've, as an actor and director. Well, I've done a lot of them, and I feel like that experience of being around people, like I said before, Anthony Chisholm, Stephen Henderson, Paul Butler in those early days, they really influenced, you know, how I approach it. And I just feel that has grown and grown with, you know, me growing and maturing as an actor, and I do still act, you know, not so much.
So if something happened, like one night in Pasadena, Could you go on stage? Well, if you're here, because you're living in Chicago, right?
I have to go on with the book, but
go with the book.
You know, but it's funny though, because when you're around it a lot, you do know the lines to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you'd need a little rehearsal for timing and things like that. But you know, in rehearsal, sometimes I could tell when an actor was, you know, saying the wrong thing, even if I wasn't looking at the script, because it's like music. It's like a song.
You heard
when you hear a wrong note when you're listening to Barbra Streisand or something, you know that's not the right note. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And just before we leave, we talked about Ma Rainey. We talked about radio golf, jitney. What is the?
Well, 2 Trains Running, Gem of the Ocean, Joe Turner's Come and Gone, 7 Guitars, Fences, which was
I
real
saw.
popular.
I love that.
Charlie was in that one at South Coast Rep.
Yeah.
And I've done all of them except for King Headley, which we didn't mention.
Which is the 9th one and the 10th one.
And 7 Guitars I didn't do. I did the Pittsburgh premiere of Radio Golf. That was a great experience because August's family was able to come and see it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
been
you.
so
I'm
great.
glad I could get down here to do this.
I'm glad too. Don't go away. Laurie O'Brien will be back on the show. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with writer, actress Laurie O'Brien, who was born and raised in Colorado, earned a bachelor in psychology and a master's in theater from the University of Colorado in Boulder. And Laurie, you were destined for show business because you wrote a play when you were how old?
Oh, you know, that's true. I'd forgotten about that. I was in 3rd grade.
And you're like 9 years old?
Yeah, yeah.
And what happened?
Well, I put it on with my 3 friends and for the school, and we won. It was like a talent contest, and we won that. And then in 4th grade, and here is the most fun part. In 4th grade, I wrote another play, for my class there, and I cast my best friend, who was this beautiful, beautiful girl. I cast her as the witch.
Perfect.
I was the princess.
See, you were destined for show business, weren't you? And you've been writing ever since.
You know, I have. As a matter of fact, in 5th grade then, my teacher was like didn't know what to do with me because I was like finished with all my work, really. So he had me write whenever I was finished. And then on Friday afternoons, I would read what I had written, and I wrote a story that year about 4, like quadruplets or something, Cherry, Berry, Mary, and something, I don't know, and I would read little chapters on Fridays.
I think maybe that's why you went to the mental hospital.
Maybe it was.
Because you found yourself directing workshops in a mental institution or hospital.
Many institutions, yes.
In Denver?
In Denver.
And when did that come about? After you got your master's?
Yes.
And what did you do?
Well, I went to places all over Denver, Mercy Hospital, Children's Hospital, the Fort Logan, Denver General, CU, and I ran theater workshops.
How could you do that? How did you decide to do that?
Well, you know, that's what my master's degree was about. I had been working at National Jewish Hospital to put myself through school with children who were chronic asthmatics and had to live there. And I discovered that a lot of their emotional problems were lessened if I read to them and I did theater with them and stuff. So I went back to get my master's degree, trying to figure out a way to work with people through theater.
So when you were writing, were you researching in the hospitals for your master's? Were you doing that along with it?
I stopped working at National Jewish when I went for my master's degree. I worked through the psychology department and I worked through the children's department and stuff like that, you know, to form my own program. And then did research out in schools and stuff. And when I graduated, I had this program under my arm.
Yes.
And then I went out and searched for somebody who wanted to do this.
Oh, well, that was great. And then they opened the doors to you. And did you then use that research for the play that you've just written, I Am Chrissy?
Absolutely. And it wasn't exactly the research. More, it's the experience that I had in there. Chrissy is sort of a compilation of people that I worked with over the years. Because when I walked away from the work, finally, I was kind of chronically depressed at that point. I made a promise to myself and to them that I would tell their stories.
So that followed you. How long ago, and how long did it follow you?
But that was 30 years ago.
It was.
30
So it's
years
followed
ago.
you all the time. You came to Los Angeles, you went on the stage, you've been in films, you've done a lot of TV work, film Bottle Shock, I love.
Oh, good.
And the cartoon characters you've done.
Yes,
you read
right.
books too, but
I
you
do
narrate.
Right. I have been fortunate to have a really varied career with characters that have a lot of depth and emotion to them.
Which is what you studied.
Right, exactly. And here's the thing is that I actually am grateful. I actually feel like I owe a debt to these people who I worked with, who gave me insight into human emotion, and I'm able to now portray. You know, I sort of feel like I am a window to other people's pain sometimes, and that I am grateful to them for giving me.
How do you write about it? How do you write about it?
Well, it's hard, and you know, and that's part of the reason that it's taken me 30 years, because
Let's go through that process, because you decided you were going to write about it. You were going to be a window for them, and you worked at the Katselas Theater Company, or with them. They have a program called Incubator.
Right. See, I had these stories that I'd been collecting over the years. Didn't know what to do with them. Should I make them into a novel? Should I send them out as individual stories and try to get one published, and then, you know, more and more and more like that? What should I do? And about that time, I get this email that my friend Tonia Betamarco was putting together a workshop on forming your own solo show. And so I said, oh, maybe that's what this is. So I joined up.
Oh, and he did Beautified there.
And yes, exactly.
He's a fantastic, he's directing you.
He is.
Okay, so the process is you signed up, and then what happens?
So then I would, you know, every other week I would bring in a little piece of what I was trying to do, and I was struggling along with it, and, you know, overwriting, saying everything, and doing all of this.
Which we always want to.
And, you know, it's a good thing. It's actually what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to overwrite so that you can get it all there, and then start taking it off and taking it away, and you know, honing and honing and
don't
stuff.
Do that to my work.
No, but you know what? Tony will tell you that I'm actually really brave about that. I actually know that one of my problems is that I overwrite, and so I really slash away, and I go, oh, okay, good, I can get rid of that. Oh, good, and you know, it's great because you've got the computers.
And so he's fabulous, Tony.
Tony's the best.
Like clearing out, because his play Beautified was fantastic, and he directed it and wrote it.
Yeah, you know, he didn't direct it. Jenny Sullivan
Oh,
directed
that's right.
it.
Jenny did.
She's fabulous. I worked with Jenny. I was Virginia in the Clean House in Santa Barbara. She's a wonderful director.
Oh, yes, everyone speaks very highly of her.
Yeah.
He did write it, but he's directing you.
But he's directing me.
Okay,
so he's been in from the inception of it. So what happened is that I took 2 of those 2 6-week workshops, and at the end of that, if you take 2, you get to do what they call the greenhouse, where you get to take 10 minutes of your thing and present it publicly. And so I did 10 minutes of it, and Gary Grossman, the producer, saw it and came up to me afterwards, and he says, I want to produce your show.
That's great.
So I only had 10 minutes of it.
And it did get produced.
It's opening this Sunday.
Right, at the Skylight on Vermont.
On Vermont.
You had this connection to the women's movement also. And did that influence this writing?
Yes, very much. My mother plays a big focus in this too.
Oh, tell us about that.
Well, because I play myself in this show at 27, and I play Chrissy, who is in her late 30s, and my mother, who is in her 50s at that point. And my mother makes a bold move at that time that I speak of a lot in the thing. So there's like, because the 70s, that's right there in the middle of the women's movement.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I came of age just as the women's movement was at its really coming in.
So did you get to partake? Oh, you were confused?
Well, I think it was confusing to all of us.
Or did you embrace it?
Well, I think we all embraced it, got benefits from it, but I think it was a confusing time of, you're told at a, you're raised a certain way, and then there's the women's movement, and there's all these mixed messages from the media and from the society and from your parents and your fourth grade
different
teacher.
Kinds of women talking to you, and different.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody had different ideals.
And then there was the sexual revolution, which is not to be confused with the women's movement, but oftentimes was.
So do you include all of that in this your show?
Yes.
One of the things you said is sanity is found in the craziest people.
In the craziest of places.
Of places. Oh,
yes.
Not of people.
Yeah. But that's also true. That would actually be a good line too, because it is true. Because one of the things that I found through my work with the insane people was my own sanity.
You found yourself.
I found
But that's
myself,
why
and I found my
sometimes
sanity.
people say you have to do that. You talk about all the different ages involved, 3 different women. What do you think the audience will be taking away? How will they look at this?
Well, I hope that they get out of it a number of things, including the feeling that we're all in this together, and that the lines are really blurry and close, that we're all on the edge on one way or the other, and to have more empathy and understanding with crazy people, homeless people.
Right.
But also, it's a very hopeful play, and there's a lot of humor in it, in spite of the fact that I'm dealing with homelessness and insanity, madness. There's a lot of hope in it, and I hope that people come away feeling encouraged.
Will they identify with the different ages of the women?
I think so, and not. I think so. I think so. I hope so.
And before we leave, tell me what your role in Bottle Shock was, because that was so great.
My role was to play Christopher Pine's mother. Yes, that was nice, and I was rich, and what was really cool about it was that the actual real woman was there on the set with me.
Oh yes, because
and she actually was in the scene with me. She was sitting at, because it took place in a country club, and she was at one of the tables. She was an extra at one of the tables, but it was really great.
So that was great. And the other thing, I know you were whispering one of your cartoon characters.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh yes, this is actually my claim to fame.
Okay.
I was Baby Piggy on the Muppet Babies.
Baby
for
Piggy,
10
look
years.
at you.
Yes.
For
and
10
they used to
years?
always call me. They used to always call me the pig. They'd say, "Oh, come on, let the pig come over here and sit with us." And it was great.
And what was your voice? Say it.
Oh, Kermit, could you give me just one little kissy? Hmm?
Oh.
Kermit, get over here! Hi-ya!
That's so great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And good luck on your play.
Thanks
for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles today. Keep writing to JAQUINN1@AOL.com. 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. See you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.